Alright Bonehawks, this video is all about Mortal Kombat 1. We had a really nice update today that had some really nice changes, lots of buffs, which is really nice to see. So I'm going to go over all the notes. I'll make sure to have the notes on screen so you know what I'm reading, what we're going over. Just in case there was something that you weren't really too sure about, if this is good, bad, ugly, that kind of thing. So yeah, nice to see a lot more buffs than nerfs. And yeah, that being said, let's get into it.
Accept your death.
Alright, so going over Geras first, so one of the biggest things that he got is this move here is sped up by 5 frames, which doesn't seem like a lot to the average person, but is getting awfully close to like non-reactable status. 21 frames, like you're getting pretty close to like he can react to see you doing something and then just kind of go in and snap full combo, you know. Well done. Not much time for you to whiff that thing. So, this was going to really help Geras players in neutral, because it's going to make them a little bit more scarier, because you're not going to want to press a button in fear that you just, boom, full combo punish. Because that's where I've seen a lot of Geras players complain, is that his neutral isn't the greatest. So this is one tool I think that can really help. And another one, which seems to be kind of what they've played upon here in their changes, because they've got this one, which is Sweep, which recovers 2 frames faster. Which again, not a huge change, but that can make some big differences in key matchups. Side note, I didn't realize how much pushback and range this move actually had. This is like Homelander levels of sweep right here. That's crazy. Might even be farther. That's nuts. That's actually crazy. So yeah, then they changed Sandstorm to make it a little bit easier for Geras to hit the opponent towards them for combos or whatever. This would probably also buff Shujinkydink's steal of Sandstorm, so easier. So perhaps, and this is kind of what you have to look at for these types of moves, right? Maybe, especially on like the Shujinkydink front, he sometimes might be getting buffs because they changed these moves with these characters. So just a side note from the Shujinkydink guy, just first thing that I think of when I see these things. So, and then they increased the maximum amount of frames that his Fatal Blow can teleport as well. So yeah, some really nice, not too game-breaking changes with Geras, but this is a really, really good patch from NetherRealm, which they needed. They desperately needed a good patch, because it's just kind of like pushing it a little bit and making a very clear point, like, we want you to use these things a little bit more, so we're just going to buff them a little bit more to give you something. So yeah, it's I think it's a W patch from them for sure. So that's Geras. Is moving on to our boy Havik. Not sure why I did that. Alright, so starting off with this Chaos Kick. So this one took me a minute to kind of see what they're doing here. So Havik is a character who's got fairly decent mids. He has a lot of weaknesses. I still don't think he's a fantastic character, but he has a lot of good mids. So your opponents are going to be blocking. So you have this Chaos Kick, which is +4 on block. Now, if you can manage to get this out, this is actually, because it's fairly fast, it's 16 frames. It's not a mix-up or anything, but your opponent blocks it, that's +4, which kind of alleviates another problem that he has in him being kind of slow, you know, so that would kind of turn this mid into a 14-frame mid that leads into a grab mix-up. So I don't think this is really the change that Havik needed, but I see what they're going for here, just to kind of give him some more plus frames to make him a little faster and other things. Because, yeah, there's definitely Havik needed something, and this is kind of a nice little push in the right direction, but I don't think this is really it. So this next one kind of stumps me a little bit, because it's along the same kind of line. Dislocated now has 13 startup frames, down from 15. So I guess it's a little bit faster, but what exactly do they want you to do with this? Is this supposed to be like a punish move? Maybe Havik players can let me know. I mean, it's got, I guess, decent range without committing to anything. But they made it a little bit faster. That's nice, I guess. Better frame data is good. Maybe they just want you to use these moves a little bit more. Again, Havik players, fill me in. I don't get it. Same with the third thing that they made is this one here now recovers 15 frames faster, has 10 frames less block stun. So I guess it just kind of keeps the pace going, because like there's a mix-up, but the mix-up's off the third hit, so there's the overhead, and there's the low, so it's not too hard to just, you know, block the low and try to react to the overhead, because they're not timed at the same time. So again, Havik players, let me know. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't get the changes here. I just don't get them. So cameo changes, very small ones. Stryker got a small one where sometimes he would get some increased gravity on his combos, so a slight nerf, but not a really intended thing to begin with. So I'm a fan of it. I'm okay with it. This change is nice, very nice. And then another thing is similar to going around how they're kind of like, we want you to use this a little more. They changed the cuff move to be plus on block. So it says +1 in patch notes. I mean, I'm getting it +2, so it might depend a little bit more. So I kind of see this being used a little bit like how Mavado is used, to give you some plus frames in situations where you might not get them, kind of idea. I still do think that the cooldown on this is probably a little bit too slow for how useful it is. But we'll see. Maybe people are going to make it work. It's just something nice that, I mean, it is a high, so take that for what it is, but so is Mavado, so it's really no different. So you're just getting like the ambush grenades with a little bit of extra plus frames to Stryker. So I think that's cool. I like to see all these cameos being used in different ways. I think that's how balance should be. And next is Sonya, who I think is one of the biggest winners of this patch. And yeah, especially for cameos, for sure. So her leg grab is now an overhead. It's +1 on block. And starts up way faster. 25 frames as opposed to 29 before. That move was useless. There was actually no reason to ever use that move before. And now there's a use for it. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be playing around with Quan, because I liked Sonya with Quan anyways, because just having a mid projectile on top of your base projectile game was pretty good. So now throwing this in might sweeten the pot to be able to use it, because then I can use all of the cameo. There's a reason for all three of these. Throw this out. If it hits, you get a combo. If it's blocked, you're +1 and safe. Oh no, and look at that pushback. The pushback is sick. So something like that could work really well for Quan. Even if you just throw it out as like just a random overhead. If it hits, you get a combo. If not, you get your pushback, you run away and do your thing. So I think that was a hugely needed change to Sonya, because yeah, not only are people not using the cameo, they're really only using this, or they're using that, both of which are okay, but there's no reason to not use like Chameleon or something, which there's still probably. They didn't touch Chameleon at all in this patch, as far as I can tell. There might be some stealth stuff, but Chameleon's still the same way. So, but it's nice that they're, instead of nerfing her, they're just adding more to the other cameos, and I like to see them do that. I think that's probably the better way to do it anyways. Alright, moving on to the last two cameo changes, because there really wasn't much, and then we'll go on to the rest of the characters. So Motaro, confusing, why did I choose to do these two together? Adjust teleport location when main fighter isn't facing the opponent. So this was an issue for a couple patches now, and it seems specifically with Liu Kang, where like you would do his throw and then teleport cancel out, and it wouldn't put him in front of him and put him behind him, which made the combo still possible but harder to hit. It seemed really unnecessary, so it seems like this is quite literally just for them changing this pairing. So kind of odd, but this is definitely something they seem to want to happen. They really want Liu Kang to have these throw combos, so I mean, all the power to him, that's what they want. And then Mavado, he just takes 50 less health from you. He still takes health from you, don't get me wrong. You're paying to use this cameo, but it's 50 less health. So you just got to be a little bit more careful with what you're doing and your pairings. And that's all the changes for the cameos, as far as I can tell, all that they've officially put in the notes. So let's continue down the roster of what they've done with the characters. Alright, so Johnny Cage. So we have the show-off parry and the enhanced show-off parry. Both got hit with nerfs. So you don't like to see nerfs, but I do like the way that they went about this with Johnny Cage, because his offense is so strong that they wanted to nerf his defense. His defense shouldn't be as good, and I like that. I really like that choice. So he can no longer delay both of these. They just have the one range, which I don't think is enough to kill the move, but he's just going to have to use it in a little bit more intelligent way. And there's a lot more recovery, and you can feel the recovery, like when you're trying to block after it whiffs. So yeah, don't worry about the delay on it anymore. You can literally just learn the timing now. Just wait for it to go away. Full combo punish. You're good to go. So, and that way he keeps all of the oppressive buttons he's got. He's got his really good 9-frame mid, plus on block, all sorts of these kind of staggers, and that's what makes him good. And I really like that they didn't change that too much, because I wasn't really sure how you would balance it. So, and then also they made Shadow Kick a little bit slower. So to 10 frames from 8, which it was already kind of hard to react to before, but now it's a little bit easier. Same with the enhanced ones. And 2 more recovery frames on miss. I found that sometimes I would make a read on the Shadow Kick, and it would whiff, and I'd stand up just a second too soon and still get hit by some weird active frame. So I'm actually glad that they did that a little bit. What makes me sad is this is probably a nerf to Shujinko's Shadow Kick as well. So Shujinko nerfs, bad. Johnny nerfs, good. You know, that's how that goes. Alright, so one small change to Kitana here, and that is the reducing the combo damage scaling off Square Wave and Enhanced Square Wave. So I feel like this is maybe a Shujinko thing. I'm not gonna lie, because like I don't really see Kitana players using this move too much. I could be wrong, and there's probably some setups where you do. But yeah, basically if you use this move in your combo, then now it won't scale the damage down as much, so you'll actually do more damage. So this was a bit of a buff to Kitana, and I'd be lying if I said I knew Kitana enough to know like how this would affect her one way or another. But this definitely feels like maybe like a stealth, like let's buff this with Shujinko, because when I play against Katanas, I never use this move, and Shujinko does it 3 times when he does it, so I'll have to go back, because I remember thinking like the damage isn't really that good. So I'm going to test that out and I'll report back to you. But from the Kitana sides of things, perhaps you Kitana mains can... I know Retro was super happy with this change, so I'll have to look and see exactly what happens or what changes with this. But yeah, in theory, Kitana should be getting more damage here. Might be a little bit dependent on the cameo that she has to use, but Kitana buffs. Thank Lord Boon. Okay, so the first attack in Pancration Champion, which is these last 2 hits, so I believe they're talking about the 3rd hit in this string, now has 16 frames, down from 19, so I'm not a Lee Mei player, although I really wanted to be, but I feel like this was to eliminate an armor gap that might have been in this string. So now she has something that has like a little bit more pressure, like a 10 frame startup on that move, into a gapless string like this. Actually pretty good for pressure. Just gives her one more thing, because she doesn't really have anything. Most of the stuff is like gapless, or sorry, has gaps, or just kind of ends. She doesn't really have any good kind of pressure stuff, so these are kind of some safe pressure strings she can kind of do more things into, so that's kind of cool. The other one is this becomes a mid when it's ignited now, which was a high before, which kind of made it useless. Look at that, and she kind of shoots it towards you. That's interesting. I don't remember her actually shooting that towards you before, but that's actually really cool. One forward, one in the air. Boom! First try, no problem. So I can see where something like that would actually be pretty good, and would make her a pretty formidable zoner if, because her projectile is already not too bad. You give her something like a Sonya on top of that. You're throwing out lanterns, they can't jump, they have to eat all the forward projectiles. Maybe that's enough to make me try this character. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how I'm feeling. Alright, so her overhead attack here lasts for 3 more active frames, which means there are 3 frames more that it can hit you. And then it recovers 7 frames faster. So much quicker for her to get off the ground and start doing stuff again. I don't know if they changed like holding it like that, or if it's just for that. But kind of giving that move a little bit more of a purpose, a little bit less. I mean, there's not much risk to it anyways, it's 0 on block, but still. Something like that, going to pressure. Man, I'm looking at this character again, I'm just like, maybe it's time. Maybe the Lee Mei father is here. Alright, and this next one, I can kind of see giving Nitara like some different combo paths, so must feed can now be 2-in-1 cancelled and does 20 less damage. So the damage is a little bit less than it used to do, but I mean, a new combo path off of 1, 2, 4, that's a 7 frame standing one, so you might get a little bit more damage off some of the punishes and stuff. Just seeing some Nitara players are actually really excited for this change. I didn't think it really meant much until I went into practice mode. I was like, okay, I think I kind of see what's going on here. So yeah, a new 7 frame punish. I don't know how much damage you can get from that, but giving any character a new 7 frame punish is kind of a sick way to go. So I'm happy for the Nitara players out there. So they've definitely enforced Reptile here as your resident mixer, which I'm super stoked for, because Reptile players have been saying for a while that he needs something. And before it used to be that, you know, block low, react to the overhead, punish the overhead, But now the overhead's just safe. Doesn't matter if he just does the regular one, it's -4. Charge one, and then the supercharge one. So yeah, it's all safe. All safe mix now. And they even made these moves recover a little bit faster on hit. So I believe that will allow him, because he can't really combo from them, at least not that I can tell. They don't seem to be special cancelable. But will kind of allow him to kind of set up more stuff here. And just more lows is more threats to just be able to open up with the overhead. Get you thinking. You start getting some cameos like Sonya with them. And you can do stuff like this. It's a good mid, by the way. Into Sonya. Pretend that's Sonya. I don't know why I didn't set that up. You saw nothing. So yeah, here's a 12-frame mid. You can either do into a low, or you can do into Sonya, get a full combo. It's a little slow, not gonna lie. But still, it's just something more to think about. More layers to your mix, you know? So I really like that change. That's pretty cool. And then, yeah, Acid Spit, Enhanced Acid Spit, and Ball have 5 more block stun recovery frames. So you're stuck in the block a little bit longer than you were previously. So overall, some nice changes for Reptile. I don't know if they're really the changes that he needed, but he definitely got some good mix, safer mix, and you're also going to have, so you have the 19-frame overhead and the 16-frame back 3. 2 good tools that you have to look out for this character. Sub-Zero players rejoice. You finally got the buffs that you've been screaming for. Buff Sub-Zero, they were saying, and finally today, we got some buffs. So we have, this move is now safe. -7 on block, so feel free to just throw that out. But don't forget, still got an armor gap on that last hit. So, not completely free. But yeah, so that one is a little bit safer. And then the 2-1 now has consistent combo damage scaling for grounded and airborne opponents. So I'm assuming if you started the combo with this, depending on how you started it or how you balanced things, that your combos would be doing different damage, whether they were in the air or in the ground. It should be the same across the board now. If you notice something different, let me know, Sub-Zero players. I don't do those combos. So yeah, this move here, a little bit more consistent damage, depending on whether you're on the ground or in the air. So a couple of nice changes. I don't know if it's enough, but changes are changes. So Scorpion got 2 changes, but I feel the 2 changes are kind of linked. Basically what they did is they removed the gap in this string. So this now has 2 frames earlier. The cancel window is 2 frames earlier. And this second hit is a little bit faster. So now this is gapless. There still is an armor gap afterwards though, so if you cancel into something, so I feel like they're just moving the armor gap from one stagger to another. So the stagger will now be, but I mean, I guess at least you get those 2 hits. But in my personal opinion, again, I'm not a Scorpion player, but from playing Scorpions, it's like, this is the button that their character is based around. Like and you've just kind of solidified that with this, which like buffs are nice, don't get me wrong, but I feel like that's not really the change that he wanted. So I guess you have a good mid now, a good gapless mid. That was a complaint before, was that it had a gap in it, now it doesn't. So now the gap is after the second hit, after he goes to do whatever move he's going to do. So, again, I like the buff, it's a good change, but I don't really think that it doesn't really open up his moveset to want to use like other stuff quite as much. So, I'm sure you Scorpion players will let me know in the comments down below, but yeah, not super crazy here. And I suppose we saved the best for last, so good old Peacemaker, it was nice knowing you. It's pretty crazy they did this right before a big tournament, but I mean, I guess at this point, the final combat's over. So yeah, this human torpedo, significantly slower. 16 frames up from 12 frames. It also seems it travels a little bit slower, but that might be because it's just a slower startup. I'm not really sure. To me, it looks like it. It also looks to me like it doesn't whiff over their head as easily as maybe it did before. Like, even though I have Scorpion set to just duck here, he's still hitting him and just falling down. So this move was a problem before, so I'm glad that they addressed it and balanced it in some way. Again, you know, nerfs, buffs, that kind of thing. I'm not super sad about this, not gonna lie. Alright, so Beautiful Bird Bullet now has 10 less frames of block stun and less pushback. This is another thing that's huge. So depending on the character, you might be able to punish this. Like young Scorpion here, a little dash into his 2-1. Oh, I messed it up there. This is embarrassing. Little dash into his 2-1, full combo punish. Some instances you don't even have to dash. I'm not going to attempt to show you that because I will probably mess it up. Same with the low eagly attack, so this has less block stun and less pushback, so you see he's like right in your face and -20. So don't get me wrong, these moves aren't gutted. They're still going to be decent moves from like mid-screen and that kind of a thing. But you're really going to have to space them properly. There's no more of like this kind of playing footsie and then a boom, boom, boom. Now I'm in. I can just cancel into whatever and be safe as fuck. So, which I like. I enjoy those types of things in fighting games. Just if you can't just YOLO throw something out like that. You have to put a little bit of strategy behind it, or at least try and hit confirm that into it, and not just do it. Force field having more recovery may have actually killed this move. 30 recovery frames, like that's a lot. Like he's standing there for a good amount of time before he's able to block. It was already an easy punish with Quan. To see him just standing 4, now this is going to be piss easy, and I don't really care about him anti-zoning. Other characters, yeah, I can see it. But yeah, it's just not really a threat anymore. I don't really see this move being used too much going forward, but still has its uses, still projectile, and the enhanced one is still good. The enhanced one you can still like recover a lot faster, and it gets the reflect. So to get like the fast force field effect, you'll just have to use a barometer. I think that's balanced. I like that. Good on NRS. That's a good change, I guess. I say as I say it might have just been gutted. So I think you'll see the enhanced one used more than you will this one. This one will probably be more for clutch situations where you don't have your life, the extended last hit, last chance. You just need to absorb something with that. That's probably how I see that being used moving forward. And lastly, the anti-gravity's chip damage has been brought down to 35 from 50. So yeah, just 50 was pretty obnoxious, not gonna lie. So they've dropped that down for something that can potentially be safe on block at -1. Don't forget though, people, if it's the same as Omni-Man, just up block it and you get turns him into -36, and he's right in your face. So I don't see too many people doing that, but there is like also the risk of him landing in front and then throwing you, baiting the up block, but that's a guessing game. Also, up blocking does not negate the chip damage, it just gets you to punish. So just little things to know. And that's it. That's today's patch in a nutshell. I hope you found this useful or insightful or all that kinds of stuff. And as usual, if you enjoy these types of videos, please leave a like because it really helps me out, and subscribe if you haven't, because I make new videos almost every single day. Hashtag Bonehawks, all that stuff, and we'll see all you Bonehawks in the next video.
Accept your death.